Welcome, everybody, to the inaugural Privateer Presser. I'm your host, Johnny Hopper. I've got a couple co-hosts, the extremely intimidating Chris Cooksey. It's a good thing it's a Zoom meeting. And then I have the extremely knowledgeable, very respected, I like to call him the mad scientist, Coach Robb joining us today. And then now to the four badass motherfuckers that we also like to call privateers. I've got Sam Redman, Chase Lorenz, Curran Thurman, and Gray Tate. Let's get this thing started. Unfiltered style.
Again, I apologize that I don't know how to use technology, but I got this meeting planned just for the privateers, just to try to help you guys out a little bit, maybe ask you some harder questions, and ultimately try to get you guys a little bit more exposure. And it looks like we've got Chase, we've got Sam is in here, and then I think, yep, there's Gray, and then I think Curran's here, but I don't know if he's got his audio going. So first, Sam, I want you to just tell us how long you've been pro and what your goals are for this year, and then what your long-term goal as far as how far you want to take racing.
Well, I went pro in 2016 after Loretta Lynn's in 2016. I raced the college boy class and the open pro sport class. In the open pro sport, I got 14th overall. And then in college boy, I got 2nd overall. But the reason I decided to go pro was I was 18. I graduated high school, and the next step was college. And my goal was I needed to focus on college, and then when I get my degree, that's when I'm deciding to focus on the next chapter of my life. So over these next 4 years, from 2016 through 2020 or 2019, that was my window of opportunity to make my push as a pro racer. So I went pro at Ironman in 2016 in the 450 class, and I can't remember exactly how I did. I think I got like 24th or 25th overall, some around that. I was doing mid-20s, and I was just stoked to be in the mains and do that well with my first try. And then after that, we did the Arena Cross series to get my pro Supercross license, and that was an eye-opener. That was one of the hardest challenges I've ever had to do on a motorcycle. And just traveling the country, I broke my hand and during the process, but because I knew my window of being a pro, the 4-year college window was so small, I knew I couldn't put off a city year. I wanted my Supercross license, so I went out and raced with pins in my hand, and I earned my pro license. And
Hell yeah, dude.
Still to this day, it's one of the hardest moments throughout my career, and it's one of the most rewarding. Once I got that Supercross license, I was like, yes, I can finally, it's all coming together. And it was super stressful. And then so I did the St. Louis Supercross in 2017, and
gotcha. I don't mean to cut you off, Sam.
Yeah.
We're gonna ask you a bunch of questions. I just wanted to know where do you want to take racing? Are you trying to make this a career, or is this just a small step in the midterm? How is that for you?
Like I said, the racing, it's not my end goal. Like I said, I have a 4-year degree in business management, and I'm very proud to have that degree. So that's the next chapter in my life. And racing was just something I did along the way. And I'm glad I was able to do it along the way. So right now I am racing this weekend, but as 2021 comes around, I don't know exactly what my future holds. If I land a good job, I don't want to put that job in jeopardy by having to take off weekends or travel days, so that's kind of so I mean, I'm kind of going with my program right now. I work with my family in the tree business, and they're flexible with my schedule. But right now, I think my main goal is just that everyday 9 to 5 job.
So this is like your last hurrah then, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, which I'm a big planner. I've had this planned out since I was 18 years old, and now I'm reaching the end of that kind of plan, and I don't know how I really feel about it, because I love to race, but also I just bought a house. I'm very proud that I bought my own house and moved out, and it's kind of starting to weigh on me. What happens if I get hurt? But also I'm like, I'm still right there, kind of where I was when I took the year off. And so it's kind of like a crossroads for me. I kind of want to keep doing it. But also, like I said, I got other goals that I want to achieve at the same time.
Yeah, it sucks, dude, that you're a professional motocross and supercross rider, but you're afraid of getting hurt being a professional because you don't make enough money, so that you won't be able to do your day job and lose your house and everything. I get it, man. That's a bummer.
But
Chase,
I'm
dude.
super thankful that I'm able to do both at the moment. Like I said, right now things are going very well, and we'll see. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but just take it day by day.
Dude, we're rooting for you. I know you got a fifth in the LCQ last weekend, and we're trying to get you in the main event this time. And Cooksey and Robb, our goals, we want to try to get more just opportunity for the privateers, because in my opinion, the privateers are the badass motherfuckers that are fast as shit, and they work hard, and they don't have everything kind of planned out for them. They don't have, hey, here's a trainer, here's your nutritionist, you're going to be flying to the races, here's all your race bikes. You got to try to put all this stuff together on your own and work a 9 to 5 sometimes and still drive and get out there. So there's something to be said just having that down and dirty and the grit doing that. I am going to come back to you. Chase, I know you're a Colorado boy. Looks like you just got your pro license. I wanted to know if that is true. Did you just get your pro license? This is your first year, and what is your end goal for motocross or supercross?
Yeah, so last weekend was my first ever pro national, and just kind of, I don't know, I just kind of was over the amateur stuff after last year. I raced Loretta's, went okay, but it was like you build up all year for one race, and like I got hurt, so that really sucked. So like now I have multiple chances, and like as far as like an end goal in racing, I'm not really sure. I mean, I want to see where it takes me. Like, I feel like luckily this COVID has kind of given me an opportunity. I don't want to go to college with online school. I did that in high school. So I'm right now, I'm just kind of a childhood dream, you know, like as long as I can remember. Honestly, I still don't even know what else I want to do, but like that's what I've aspired to be, and that's where I'm at now. So that's badass.
And how old are you?
I'm 19.
19. Gray, I know you're in here, dude. You just got your pro motocross license, or you've had it a couple times. Same question for you, just to introduce yourself. I know you're trying to do the 2021 Nationals, and what's your end goal for racing?
Obviously just to become a millionaire and buy a Rolls Royce and stuff like that, you know, but
you're in the right sport.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I've had my pro license for about 3 years just because I made it to Loretta's in A class. But, you know, to be honest, I really just want to do arena cross next year. And I guess I have 2 out of 6 points to get my supercross license. So I want to do some supercross futures rounds. And really, I'd like to have a good showing at Monster Cup next year. So, you know, as far as my plans for next year, I just want to do really good in arena cross, get some sponsors to back me, do good in supercross futures, and then go do good at Monster Cup. So
awesome. So I'm going to lean it over to my co-host because they know more about what they're doing than Johnny Hopper does. I've got Chris Cooksey with Cooksey Media, and then Coach Robb, super intelligent guy. I like to call him the mad scientist. If you guys have any questions, just call out one of the riders and ask away, guys.
Rob, you want to go first?
Yeah, this is kind of a question for all you guys. You know, I've offered up to several privateers over the years, you know, to provide a complete performance program. And other than Chase Blackburn, nobody's really stayed on the program for more than a month, which just shows how incredibly stressful, you know, you guys are spread so incredibly thin. Just out of curiosity, when you guys are trying to get from round 1 to round 2, and I know the season's just getting started, but like just in these last couple of weeks, what kind of sleep are you guys able to get Monday through Friday, not even counting the race weekend?
Sam, let's go with you.
Hey, mine just glitched out. I did not. My screen went black.
Chase, did you hear the question?
Yeah, I've been really lucky. Like my dad's doing all the driving, and he pretty much has a work off because of COVID. So I'm a factory privateer, I guess you could say. But me up at night is, I don't know, if I rode bad or something that day. But for me, it's been pretty easy because of my dad.
Fair enough. How about you, Gray?
I mean, I can tell you about my arena cross experience when I was traveling all over the West Coast, having to pay for it all myself. There would be nights where I'd go racing, and then I'd have to drive like an hour and a half to the airport because my dad's a pilot. And so, like, I'd have to drop him off at the airport at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., stuff like that. But, I mean, it didn't really matter because throughout the week, I only got to one time in about 3 months as a practice time. So sleep didn't really bother me. I was just staying in my van the whole time at truck stops. And, I mean, I could have gotten better sleep, but my generator shuts off. I run a generator in my van for AC, and it shuts off at about 7 a.m. It doesn't last very long. So, yeah, not the greatest sleep, but it didn't really affect me because I wasn't really training or anything, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, I think it just goes to show you guys are so spread so thin, and it's really easy to say, oh, you got luxuries of food and sleep until, like you said, you know, you're in and out of your van, you're in and out of jet setting, you're trying to get to practice tracks, trying to get across the country. And I think it just sheds a lot of light on, you know, we tease and call it the journeyman's journey, but I think it's a lot more brutal than people give it credit for. And to watch you guys go up, like Johnny said, for somebody that slept in his own bed up to last night, got a nice flight in, gets to stay at the track if it's motocross, gets to stay at the local hotel if it's supercross. I mean, it's something you guys sign up for, and we're not making excuses, but I think it's something that a lot of people tend to overlook is that preparation coming in. It's kind of like having a bike that has 200 hours and going, yeah, I've got my bike for the weekend against all the big boys. And it's, you know, we look at who rides the motorcycle. We tend to forget about that. So I'm always curious to get your perspective because I respect it immensely. You guys are doing a great job.
Kurian, are you in here, dude? Did I say your name right? Please tell me.
Curran, but yes, sir, I can hear you now.
Curran.
So it took me a
Cool.
minute to figure
Well,
it
we
out.
were just trying to introduce the riders. So the opening question is just who you are, when you turn pro, and what is your end goal for racing? You know, I just want to know what the privateer's perspective is. Like, hey, I'm going to be the next Eli Tomac. You know, Gray said that he's going to buy some Rolls Royce. I mean, what is your end goal for racing?
Really my end goal. I've been racing, you know, for a long time since I was really young, and for a little bit there, I didn't chase, you know, the pro dream because it was kind of like I thought of it as it was kind of like out of budget, out of reach, and so I kind of figured out a way to make racing happen again. And so really, I'm trying to, you know, get to my full potential of, you know, how good, you know, it doesn't matter how good I can get really to myself. It's kind of like I want to just, you know, go all the way of where my potential is. You know, I don't know where that is. I'm just trying to work towards, you know, getting as far as I can, no matter if it's a certain place or just a certain way I feel on the bike. That's kind of my goal, just to reach my full potential of riding and racing.
Gotcha. And how old are you, Kurian?
I'm 25. My name's Thurman. I'm from Alvin,
Current.
Texas, South Texas.
Work-
So
Gotcha. Well, I know you were, I think, the only rider we have today that qualified for Loretta. And dude, it's very interesting that all of you guys here have pretty much sort of said the same thing as far as, I'm going to see where it's taken me. And it just sucks that it's not set in stone that when you become a pro that, hey, here's the 6-figure salary and this is all you're focused on for the next 10 years. I mean, the perception of everyone else is we see you on TV and we think, oh man, these guys, you know, women are showing, taking their tops off and everything. And you're living the dream. But in reality, you guys are just busting your ass and you don't know what the future holds, which is a real bummer. So Chris, Rob, do you have any other questions that you want to direct towards one of these badass guys?
Yeah, current Thurman. You qualified for the Salt Lake when they had the mud race there. You qualified for that in the East 250, right?
I didn't make the main in the mud race. I made I think it was 2 other main events. It wasn't the mud race, but I made 2 main events in Salt Lake.
Because I was wrenching for Travis Delnicki, and somebody took his stand and they were getting ready for the main. I thought it was you, and I didn't realize they'd made the main. I stole the stand back, and I thought it was you, and I was just going to apologize because I didn't know you were in the main. I thought you just stole the stand. So, but I don't think it was you. Apparently, I got the wrong guy.
Yeah, if it was the motor, no, not that day. I missed it by like a little bit, but just a kind of off day for me that day. But yeah.
So, and then does it bother you guys that people look at you and they call you professional racers? But in reality, I mean, how many of you, like, I doubt you're turning a profit doing this. Like, what do you do to change that? Do you grade? Do you go to social media and build your social media marketing? What would you guys do to make money for privateers?
Well, I'll just go ahead and start. So when I did Supercross, I did a lot of fundraising, and I felt like my fundraising turned out really well. I was able to cover all of my entry fees, hotels, and some gas, and then all the other, and then sponsors would help out with parts. So all the money that I did earn was a profit for me. But it takes a lot of effort it takes a lot of time to reach out to people and fundraise, and not everybody lends a hand, but it seems like it's way too much effort for that and what it is it's just people, they're giving you handouts, and I told them, like, hey, I'm just letting you know you're not going to get a return. This is kind of just a fundraiser. And they're like, we understand. And that I kind of feel bad about that. But I mean, that's how I was actually able to come out on the upside in Supercross. Now, motocross, unfortunately, motocross is
hold on, Sam. When you said that you were able to come out on top, does that mean like you had
not in a
$500 left? Okay, so you were just kind of a little bit above.
I mean, I don't know the exact figure, but like probably I mean, it's probably barely just above breaking even, I guess. So not really but the thing is, all that money that I fundraised wasn't out of my own pocket. So I took this money, raised it, but then I spent it. But all the actual earnings from making the night shows and contingencies and stuff actually ended up being pretty. I mean, it wasn't a lot. It was probably around like 10 grand for East Coast Supercross. But in that year I made one main event. But it's because I remember, and I went and I bought myself a truck. So that's how much that's how I remember. But like, I mean, I know some people, they expect a return on investment, and if that's just, So like, it's just a lot of it takes a lot of effort to before the
Somebody at
season and
Supercross,
organizing.
somebody
Say
at
that again?
Supercross is making money.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Curran, same question. And dude, did I say your name right again? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it was right that time. Yeah.
Okay. All right. How have you raised money for motocross and supercross?
So, honestly, like this was a big factor. I'm a little older, but it's kind of like my first full season of doing Supercross. I did a few last year and all that, but a big factor was that I didn't have. I did, 2 nationals in 2017. Those are my first, 2 of kind of getting the feel of the pro ranks or the real pro ranks, I'd say. And at that time, I was thinking, like it takes a lot. It takes a lot of money, and I did 2 random ones. It was kind of like out of the blue, like uh I went with a buddy that was racing as well, so it was like a lot of expenses not put on me, just besides the pro license and then the race. And then pretty much I was riding, the first one was a random of stock 450, so it was kind of like cheap, as in a sense of going racing with professional guys. And so from then on, I kind of started thinking about, man, how are these privateers doing it? Because I couldn't see myself with the money I had without, uh, just the money I had and with my family helping me out. I couldn't see me, taking so much money away from, their hard-earned money, and pretty much all of it and going racing. So I was thinking, like, man, how are all these privateers doing it? Because there's got to be a way. So it took a few years, 2 years, pretty much, until I started trying to fully chase it and figure it out. And it's kind of like there's always I learned there's always opportunity out there. Even if you have a sponsor now, it might not be there, in the future or however long. So there's always opportunity. I kind of figured out. And I was working a regular job for those 2 years in between, and I saved up a little bit of money to have a cushion to go racing. Even if I had to do it for my on my own for a bit, I had like a little bit amount to kind of go towards the goal. And I got a sponsor, luckily, and it kind of helped take things off and get me off the ground where I could kind of go racing without having to work. Because working, how that is, full-time job, 40 to 60 hours a week, that's not giving you much time to do anything. And it's hard to go racing against those guys doing that. So, and we all know that, of course. But so I kind of learned and tried to figure out a way to make it happen, like how a lot of privateers do it. So I'm lucky enough to have a pretty good sponsor that helps me out in that way. And shoot,
Is it in the industry or is it somebody outside the industry?
outside the industry. All South Autosports, All South Sprinkler Company. That's that big sponsor for me, and they helped out a few racers, Van Martin, Kyle Swanson. There's a Nick Schmidt right now as well, and there's been a few others. But they that's kind of where it all took off for me. Kind of figuring out that it takes sponsors, takes other people. There's been other people as well as my family helping me out, because shoot, it's a lot. Even with sponsors, it's still a lot. So I kind of figured it out, and that's kind of how I make it happen now. And you got to have a good backing, unless it's fine if you want to race here and there, but that's kind of like it's hard to do. If you want to be competitive and get better, it's hard to do it that way. And there is sponsors out there, and you just kind of have to find them and work with them. There's people that want to help out for sure.
Well,
So
how frustrating is it when you go to Supercross and you see all those fans, how much tickets cost, or Outdoor Nationals that, they're putting 20, 30,000 fans in there, not this year, but other years. And they're charging $40 a pop, yet you're not barely getting your entry back. Like, does that bother you?
Or you even have to pay to enter the race?
yeah, the paying part it's kind of like, it's hard, especially the license and then the pay to race. I don't.
Let's just call it. It's bullshit. Let's just say it. I'll say it for you guys.
Yeah, when the NBA players have to play like an entrance fee for every game, let's talk, but they don't. So
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things that's on top of it makes it even harder. when you have to drive, there's not many in Texas at like motocross, anyways, or even close. It's like 14 hours, from here. And man, it's like $310 to go to the, this past weekend at Loretta's, $310 to enter. You pay, I can't remember, $250, $350 it was for the license. So that's like on top of everything else you have to pay for. It makes it really hard. I don't know where exactly it goes. I thought about it and I was like, who knows? I don't know. Maybe you guys know more or less where it goes, but you don't get that much back for sure being a privateer like us. That's
Okay.
sure.
Well, if you don't mind, it's since 2015 since I qualified for a national, and it was $250 a moto. But before you got into like the top 20, before you started making more dough per se, and since you qualified and you were what, 33, 36, have you gotten that check yet? And if you don't mind, how much was it for?
I haven't gotten it yet. I know last year they pay like a week after the race, so we should get paid like this next. I can't remember exactly what it was. Either the day of the race or the day after or the Tuesday after or something. So I haven't got the first check yet. So I don't know exactly what the 30th place pays right now.
Sam,
let you guys know.
Yeah.
I just want your input in on this too. Do you feel that the risk versus the reward is justified, or do you feel that you need to have an extra zero behind pretty much every moto for potentially killing yourself, breaking your back, something? Because we know that something's going to happen at some point.
The answer is absolutely no. It's not worth it. I mean, if it was, if they even increased it just a few $100, it would make it so much easier and worth it. Like if you're making the top 40 or the top 30, if it was like, let's just say if they just started at the bottom, like if you got 40th place and it was, I don't know, what's 40th place now? Like $300? I don't know. But if they bumped that up to like 1,500, like they even did that, that would make it worth it. And if you do better from that point, I mean, I to be honest, I would like to pursue it full time, but for me, that's why I have a college degree.
Yeah.
But I would much rather be a dirt bike racer, but it's just not worth the risk at the moment. It'd be awesome if we could find out how to raise that reward where it makes it more possible.
Worth it. Keeps you coming back. Yeah. You have a good taste in
So
your
I got
mouth.
a question.
Go for it.
I actually raced Moto 2. I was an alternate. Now, does anybody know about this rule? This is the first time I've ever done this rule. Will I get any type of check for that?
You should get a second moto check. Please let us know.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm with Chris on that. You definitely should get paid for being in there as an alternate, because you were 5th in the LCQ. So you were the first guy to jump on board. So yeah, you should absolutely get that check.
Unless you enjoy working for free, which I don't think anyone does.
That's the thing, because the way that kind of seems like they would just rip you off like that. It kind of seems like they would just get away with it, you know?
Well, let's wait and see. You don't want to call them the rip off until you know for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we'll wait and see.
Hey, I want to know, Chase. Chase you seem like a very outspoken dude, and I kind of like your personality. It seems like it fits for arena cross. I would imagine you're not scared to take a dude out. What are your thoughts on this money deal, and how are you making your money?
Well, for now it's just my dad. Like, I think you're asking the wrong person, honestly. But
No.
I was talking about Rio.
I wanted to know your.
Oh, I meant Gray. I'm sorry, Chase. That was a dick move.
Oh, you're all right.
Well, since we're on Chase here, Chase, does it, when you have some older guys like Sam and Curran saying that, dude, the money just isn't there, what is your motivation? Does that hinder you going, man, like, why am I getting into racing if this might not end up being something that's ends up being a career? I mean, what is your motivation to try to make a go at this?
Well, my motivation is just, this is just something I've always dreamed of for as long as I can remember. I mean, so that's where the motivation is coming from. And honestly, for a long time now, I kind of realized that, all right, I probably am not going to be the next Eli Tomac. Like, and that's just being realistic. So I'm just going to do the best I can, you know, and I'll be happy with whatever results I get. But as far as money, I kind of know, I've heard from people how the sport is. You don't really get paid much as a privateer, at least. So I've been prepared for that.
Chase, I just hear it in your voice, dude. That lanyard around your neck means something. Becoming a pro means something. And it's a real bummer that you guys aren't being able to walk away with a retirement from this. And we're here having this meeting because we all see that something needs to change. And so we want it to change. So if it's not you, it's the next guy that is able to make their dream come true. Because pretty much everyone that I have on right now has been a better rider than me. And I appreciate you guys so much coming on and being open about racing, because we all kind of have the same views on things. We just need to get it out there a little bit more. And I guess I'll go back to Cooksey because he was trying to ask Gray something about
Gray, I
money
apologize
wise.
for calling you Chase, but
That's okay.
yeah, back to that same question. What do you think, man?
So, like, what do I think, or like, what am I doing for
As
money?
far as like money and the whole, like the topic we were on before, being an arena cross guy, what do you do for money?
Well, so the only reason I ran arena cross, like the only reason, is because I knew I didn't have to train very hard for it at all. But the biggest reason was because of the media. And I would love to have the opportunity to go train hard, like at a facility, like a lot of these other guys are. But I'm 22 now, and my parents cut me off from the money supply when I was 18, so I have to pay for everything myself. So I trained a lot of riders, you know, to prepare for this, to save up money so I can go travel and, you know, pretty much just lose all the money that I made training riders, and in hopes that I could try to get a title sponsor and stuff like that to help me pay for it the next year. I had gotten a sponsor. His name was John McCullough at Team All South. I got him by just going door to door, knocking on businesses and stuff and telling them, you know, what I'm trying to do. And he actually, I gave them a business card at his business. I live in Beaufort, Georgia, and he actually was in Beaufort, Georgia as well. And, I mean, he kind of took me under his wing, and I mean, he was paying for my training and my racing and my bikes and all that stuff. Like, I finally was getting to go train, and it was awesome because I hadn't gotten to train at a facility in a very long time, and my results had definitely gotten a lot worse from not being able to train on a rough track and ride with fast guys. So unfortunately, he passed away. So I mean, I've started e-commerce websites though as well, because, you know, I can't go out and do like a lawn care business if I'm racing out, you know, out west somewhere. So I try to do a lot of e-commerce websites, and yeah, training riders. Like tomorrow, you know, it's Saturday, I want to go ride and race myself, but unfortunately I'm stuck training riders tomorrow, and then I'm stuck training riders Sunday. So I'm really trying to walk away from that so I can start bettering myself and start getting some better results. But definitely going to be trying to get a new sponsor to help pay for my stuff, and e-commerce websites definitely help out somewhat, and I'm just trying to do the best I can with that stuff.
Hey, you guys.
Rob, do you
Go ahead,
have
Johnny.
something you'd like to add?
Well, I guess the thing that I'm always curious about is I see the struggle bus that you guys are on. Can you give us a ballpark? Like, if we were to go out and we were to network with all the people that we know, and I'm really keen on going outside of the network of the industry. I think it's a very incestuous industry. and I don't say that derogatorily, but I just firmly believe the money is kept in a pretty tight box. Give us a ballpark. Let's just talk about outdoors specifically. If we were to go blank piece of paper, we want to build a team. We want to have a good roster of, let's say, take each one of you individually. What kind of budgets are we talking about? Let's give the viewers some kind of idea. I know what my costs are for my pro riders, and I'll be very transparent. I do everything on a commission basis. If you're not, or bonus basis, if you're not making the main events, I don't think I should deserve to get paid. That's my personal opinion when it comes to professional sports. I don't think any performance coach should get paid unless you guys are making money. That's just a personal opinion of mine. If you take myself out of the equation, between bikes, practice bikes, race bikes, travel, what are we looking at to go race outdoors? Ballpark.
Sam, do you want to start? And then we'll go Korean and then Chase and Gray.
Did you just call him Korean?
Current. Did I say current? Dude, if you see me at the track, you're going to have to punch me in the face.
Oh, I'm
Dude,
kidding. Sorry, Kern. Sorry, Kern.
God damn it. Let's just call me, okay, everyone just call me Juan, all right? Sam, go. Do you want to answer? Do you want to start? Do we have Sam?
Let's let somebody else start with that one.
All right.
And again, we're just talking 10,000 foot view, no dirty details. But if we were collectively going to say, all right, I'm going to go beat the street. In transparency, I own my own amateur development program. And I know that we budget $150,000 a year for those athletes. And I don't mind putting the numbers out there. That's what we put into our amateur development program. And just for the record, we only choose kids that are outside the top 20. We want the kid that has duct tape numbers. We want the kid whose boots don't work. We want the guy that's not going to complain about the track. He's just going to race his heart out. So if I were to go out and build a professional team, am I looking at $250,000? Am I looking at $500,000? And I'm not saying do it on a shoestring budget, but I'm not saying you guys are flying private, and I'm not saying you're buying Ferraris, like Gray was saying, or Rolls, excuse me. I don't want to knock the quality down a notch or two.
Well, I'll just break the ice and say my small experience. It was pretty much $800 for me with gas and a little bit of food to get to a race. And that's not including the entry fee. Then my entry fee was $350 or so. So then race gas and some tires, I would say maybe $500-600. So I felt like a good small budget per race was around $2,000, was having what I needed there. And I felt comfortable. And so just if I had 12 races, well, I would need 24 grand to be able to make it across the country to all 12 rounds. That was did I ever make it happen? No, my budget was literally 8 to 10 grand. And that's kind of where I was. And I'm not talking about having any sort of a bike or anything, because I would like to had 20 grand to put into my motorcycle, because my race bikes, I think the best bike I had was a Honda of Houston bike that was like an extra 12 grand on top of the base price of like 8,000. And so that's me. You guys don't have to answer this question if you don't want. I can just edit it out and we can move on. But if you guys want to answer it, feel free. This is literally a privateer presser. It's unfiltered. We're trying to do something different from the other things. We're trying to make it entertaining and get your guys' name out there so that you guys can go out and get bigger sponsors and more attention.
Well, I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but my whole thing is I think it's cool that you are willing to come on a public, forum like this, especially with Juan, and be able to go into details like you're doing. But the key is, it's like, man, what if we have somebody that watches this and goes, hey, I've got X amount of dollars, and then all of a sudden we take this privateer challenge. And like you said, what would be comfortable? 100 grand as a base salary. And then, like you say, Johnny, if we end up with, let's say 3 race bikes at 20 grand a piece, then let's say 2 or 3 practice bikes. Let's face it, we're talking with some of the fastest guys in the country. Your wear and tear on a bike is going to be quite high on your practice bike. And this is where we get into some real nitty gritty. And again, if I'm ripping open a scab, I apologize. What pisses me off is you guys are out busting your ass on a bike that's clapped out. So that thing lets go, and then you get injured, and then you can't even go race your race bike because you guys got injured on a bike that's clapped out. Being fortunate to be around some factory riders, our practice bike is absolutely identical to our race bike, 100% identical. Every time we roll out, brand new sneakers on it. Every single time we go out. I'm talking 3 practice sessions in 3 hours, 3 sets of new tires. So I know that that's not realistic, but yet you guys are already putting yourself in harm's way to get ready to go to the race on a bike that's tired, getting in a van that may or may not make it to the race. So now you're broke down. All right, let's get ahead of this whole frustration and go, dude, this is the money that we need. And that's the only reason why I asked a question, not to make anybody uncomfortable. It's like, we may have somebody that watches this that goes, you know what? We'll bring Moto E, Human Performance, done. I own a dealership, 20 bikes, done. 3 guys, here we go. All right, what's the dollar that we need to go raise, and then put performance bonuses and then media exposure? Now we build a budget together where these 4 guys can say, all right, I can breathe. You know, like you're saying, you know, Gray, having to go coach. It's not that you're against coaching, but damn, by the end of the weekend, you're like, all right, here we go. You're out in the sun. You know, it's like trying to herd cats. And then you go and you do your 30, 40-hour week. And then, oh, by the way, let's jump in the van and let's go try to get to the races. And somewhere between, you're trying to squeeze training, work on a bike. I mean, look at, and I don't know, do you guys have your own practice mechanic, or do you guys spin your own wrenches on top of everything else?
Part-time mechanic, full-time pretty much, you know how it is.
Yeah.
I know how it is. So yeah,
Yep.
it's like a job in itself. Sometimes, like, I personally, like, there'll be a lot to do with the bikes before you even go to the weekend. And it's like, man, you got to do, it takes, you know, so long, because I'm not the fastest worker on dirt bikes. I'm trying to do things, you know, right, because we're risking our health, body, you know, on those things. So I'm trying to, like, make sure I'm doing things right. So it takes time. And then sometimes I'm like, man, it takes time, you know, and it takes energy to do that stuff. And it's kind of like, should I still do this workout that I have planned to run, or, you know, those type of things, or should I kind of rest myself, because it gets to be a lot with trying to do everything, you know? So that is a hard part.
Yeah, like midweek, you know, you wake up, you train, and then you got to wash your bike, do your bike work, cook for yourself, and squeeze in like a road bike ride or a strength workout. It's sometimes, like, I've had days to where I just completely exhaust myself all day, and then it basically just ruins the next day for you, like, of riding. Like, there's nothing left in the tank, energy wise.
Chris, if I may say this, you know, you brought up the NBA team. You know, the players show up, they play ball, they go, you know, and then you've got all these ancillary services and expertise and professionals, whether it's massage therapists, nutritionalists, bus drivers, whatever. And every single one of the guys that are with us today are wearing all of those hats, you know, mechanic, driver, cook, trainer, you know, rider. And it just blows my mind. Now, the reason why I appreciate you guys being open to the idea of what would the budget be, we may have somebody that watches the show and thinks, hey, they've only associated themselves with, let's say, Formula One, and they hear these huge astronomical budgets, you know, $70 million to go racing. We may find we got a budget for 150,000. You guys could pocket a decent living, let's say 75, and we could get good bikes, and we could get you in a good vehicle, maybe network together, get your bikes there for you that are already prepped with another mechanic, hire you a practice mechanic. And I'm not saying you're, again, going to fly first class or even fly private, but shoot, a $300-400 ticket when you've got a $40,000 budget is doable, you know?
I'm going to reach out to Korean here. Sorry, Curran.
You know, you guys could kiss my ass. Curran, I apologize, dude. Like, from the bottom of my heart, I'm just too stupid that I didn't pass English that well, that my pronunciation is just...
I'm kidding, Hopper. Let it go. Okay, so let's say this. Some guy wants to do a team. He wants you, Thurman. And he tells you, lay out a budget. What do you think will get it done for next year? Do you think $250,000 to get it done? Could you get what would your ideal budget be?
Man, it's really hard to say, because I know like the cheapest cheapest budget, you know, what I look at to just get to the races, but to
be competitive.
yeah, to
Yeah,
be competitive is like another step up, and it's hard for
That's
me.
what we're
It's hard for me to comprehend some of that stuff of what else, you know, could go into it to get you to there, because I'm not to that step, or maybe I don't even know how much that stuff costs. But to lay it out, I'd say just for outdoors to have, you know, minus bikes and all that stuff, man, it's hard for me to say. It's just I kind of know the base minimum to, you know, get me to the races. And
what would you like to have? What would be a dream to make you go, hey, I'm doing all the nationals. This is the once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm running with it. I'm running with it.
yeah,
Just spit a number out, man. Just spit a number out.
I'm not the best person to ask on that, and the reason is because like I've raced for a long time for nothing, and like it's kind of the problem with maybe most of the privateers. Like I am just thankful to race, you know, zero, no money. Like I put you know, all the money I do make just from, you know, the purse that they give, I put it back into, you know, dirt bikes racing. So it's like I can't think about I can think about it, but I can't comprehend really of what I am worth, because I'm doing it because like I love it, and I'm just thankful to be there no matter the pay and all that stuff. It's like I'm thankful to be there, and I'm just barely scraping by. You know, even if I have $1,000, $2,000 in my bank, it's like it's like I don't have anything because it's already going back into the motocross, supercross thing. So I'm kind of not the best person to ask on that, because
Hey,
man,
Sam, just
love to have
out of
some.
curiosity, Sam, what was it that made you want to dodge the question? You seem pretty adamant about it, if you don't mind me asking.
Well, so the thing was, I feel like we're all kind of a little ignorant to like he was like Kurt was saying. Like for me, I keep my bike stock because I want it to be dependable and last all season, and that's not the top equipment to be compatible on. But for me, it's better to make it to all the races I can and know that it's not going to, I mean, it could blow up. Everybody can blow up, but I'm not having to do a rebuild every round or every 2 rounds. I know that I could go a good chunk of the way and I'll be fine. And like I said, we're our own, or like we've all said, we're our own mechanics. That's just one less thing to worry about. But now that we've been talking about it, I mean, for 12 rounds, $35,000, that should be, I think that should be plenty, probably plenty to at least get, so the more you raise that number, the more, the nicer bikes we can get, the nicer parts, the nicer facilities. But I would say 35,000 to 40,000. But what's crazy to me is like that's what the average American can makes per year, and it's just I'm like, how can I take this amount of money just for like so even though that's the number I came up with, it's kind of scary and terrifying to speak that number into words.
I don't mean to interrupt. I kind of feel like I don't want to know how much I'm spending. Just,
Yeah.
No, that's legit.
Yeah.
I don't want a price tag over my head or anywhere, you know, just
Well,
as far as logically justifying it.
But I think
Like we are so used to cutting corners that we don't know, like if we were to like actually sit down and get greedy with it, there's no telling with what number we would come up with. So that's kind of why.
But Sam, you bring up a good point. It's like you guys are perceived as being greedy if you ask for $100,000 salary and another 150 to 200,000 for good parts. But yet, if I may take a line from Cooksey, the money's going somewhere, and yet there's not another single sport around that you guys have to feel guilty for making a decent living. And I think that's the irony of this entire press conference that we're doing together, is the idea that we all understand what you guys put yourself through from a risk reward standpoint. And then when we start to quantify it, if you guys ask for anything that's legitimate, I appreciate your honesty and transparency. You're like, I don't even know what my worth is. That to me just screams volumes. I love what Juan said, you know, hey Chase, you know, what's hanging around your neck? I mean, how many guys can make that declaration in their entire life? I mean, we've got 2 guys on here that have held that credential, but let's face it. I mean, there's a lot of racers in the world, and I don't know what the percentage is, but if I was a gambling guy, I'd say it's a pretty small one that could say they're fast enough to make that cut. And yet, like you're saying, Sam, you got to cut corners, you know, that just shouldn't even be in our vocabulary. When we're talking with the 40, 50, 60 fastest guys in the world, I mean, yeah, you could argue GP is the being in the world, but you guys get the gist of what I'm saying. And I just think, and Juan doing a good job bringing this together, you know, we are able to put a dollar figure to it. And hey, what if all of a sudden we said this next year, collectively, we're going to put 3 teams together at a budget of 300 grand. What I look at as an entrepreneur is I damn sure would rather deal with you 4 guys that appreciate the opportunity than a bunch of prima donnas that complain about everything under the sun. And that's where I think this show can do a great job, having somebody that has a business outside of our sport, or maybe is just a huge fan of the sport. And here's you say, we're not talking $7 million budget. We're talking 400 grand. We could have 4 kick-ass guys on the track, and we use the economies of scale. We're going to a motor builder and we're getting 6 or 8 bikes built from the ground up. We've got great suspension, great motors. If we buy them individually, it's 12 grand. If we buy 6 at a time, they're 10 grand. Well, now we've got the economies of scale. We have a budget. We have, you know, we're going racing, you know, you guys know this better than I do. I don't say go and ask a facility for something for free. Collectively, we go in there and say, guys, what can we do to promote your facility? I don't care what the name of the facility is, and have a network of facilities that go from the West Coast to the East Coast. So as you make your way across the country, you know where you're going to train, you know it's going to be prepped, it's going to be done properly. They let it get rough. The thing that kills me, and obviously as a physiologist, I'm biased to this, I can't even imagine how difficult it must be for you guys to find a track that even remotely represents what you race on the weekend. I mean, where in the hell are you going to find that at a local track? I don't care how rough they make it. There's no way in hell we can emulate those braking bumps.
Well, Rob, I don't mean to cut you off here. I think the major disconnect in the sport is that 1% of all the money goes to 1 to 5 riders, and then everyone else is just shit out of luck. And I don't know if the disconnect is we don't have major sponsors like Verizon, AT&T. I mean, back in the day, there was Camel and Bud Light. I don't know where all the big major sponsors went. To me,
hold on, Hopper. Monster's not a big sponsor?
Okay, yeah, Monster Energy Supercross. It seems like a lot of sponsors run away from this. And yeah, you're probably arguing with me here, but Chris, let me finish my thought here.
Sorry.
It's just a bummer. And if the privateers were able to make a little bit more money, you know what? I freaking just forgot what I was going to say. So the whole monster thing.
Can I add something?
Go for it, bud.
So if you were Bud Light and you were really looking to get your name out there, you'd want to have a lot of viewership, right? So you can drop a lot of cash and really get your name out there. Right, Johnny?
Yeah, let's keep going with it. Yeah.
So why would you want to, pay a lot of money for people to watch pro motocross and supercross when half the time, you have to pay $50 or $100 just to watch it? You're not going to have a lot of outside, people tuning in. Like my neighbor's not going to just be tuning in to watch, supercross if they have to pay like $100 just to watch it. I feel like that's really hurting the sport personally. I mean, think about NASCAR. Like they, all these big corporations put up a lot of money for NASCAR because they'll actually get seen a lot. But think about what it would do to the sport of NASCAR if you literally had to pay $100 or something just to watch NASCAR. I feel like the viewership would definitely decrease a lot.
Well, I want to get what Chase's thought was on that too. But just to add that, if we need to spread the money around, maybe spreading it around to a stock class so that there was more of an influx of more teams for more riders. Like, hey, here's like almost like Moto 2 and over in Europe. You know, I'm talking about street bikes where I think Triumph is the motor guy for this season. And so maybe a stock class where Suzuki, God forbid, Suzuki is the bikes that everyone has to sign up and race for, like a third tier class between the 250s and 450s. You have this stock class where we're all on Suzukis, we're all on Dunlop tires, but everyone is getting a paycheck and a decent paycheck. And then maybe next year we have Kawasaki come in and they buy the rights to the stock class. And then the next year Yamaha, and then maybe we start getting some more bigger sponsors. So it's not just, because even if you look at Tomac and those guys, they're not making their money from the purse. You know, it's like 7, maybe 14 grand. I'd have to look it back up to win a Loretta Lynn National. They're making the money from the 100,000 to 250,000 bonus from their manufacturer factory. So something needs to change. And Chase, what is it that you wanted to say? It sounded like you got cut off, man.
Yeah, I just kind of think the TV, like if you look at Formula 1, Friday they broadcast practice, Saturday qualifying, even the practice before qualifying on Saturday and on Sunday, all 3 days are live coverage. And like if you compare that to Moto, I mean, Dish doesn't even carry MAV TV, and it's not even an HD. I don't believe, at least. And second shows are live. I just kind of feel like the viewership is worth it as far as title, big sponsors.
Yeah. Well, just playing devil's advocate, I mean, I'm a big bitcher about this entire sport, but what do you think needs to change in the sport? I'm asking all you guys, what do you think needs to change in order for us to grow? Because it does seem like we are slowly going down a Road to America type street bike series where there's not even riders to sign up to have the race. You know, like everyone gets into the main kind of a thing.
I think a big thing would be like safety. There's no, like, again, comparing to Formula 1, I mean, ever since Ayrton Senna died and whenever, they recognize the safety of the sport. Can't make a, but as far as like, you know, you hear right, Supercross in particular, that happen. And I think there needs to be, like Kennard was the standard that it's okay. And I feel like that would be
out really bad, man. I don't know if everyone else is thinking that too.
I'm probably losing service.
Thurman, Adam was saying, what do you think we need to do to change?
Well, and my thought process is, it's, I mean, it's the whole, why can't we get a easy TV schedule that's convenient for my family and friends to tune in and watch us race, or convenient to the average viewer? If it was just a little bit more consistent, I think that would be the first right step. When I don't know the means of making that happen. That's out of my knowledge. But I feel like, I mean, if you look at the social media, like Instagram, Ken Roxon's got 1 million followers. So like, there's people into the sport, but like, I just think TV and broadcasting should be, I think a little bit more effort could be, which Supercross does a good job with all that. I think they're a little bit better and consistent for sure.
And maybe kick back into the Embassy Gold package, an AMA membership, ticket sales, something small, kick back into the purse to make you guys want to come back. I think would be a step in the right direction too. Not being super greedy. Let's just say like a 1/4% or something. That would influx the purse money significantly for you guys to continue to be able to do this. Thurman, are you still on here? Do you have anything to add?
Oh, on this question, I don't have very much to add.
Okay.
I think about it a lot. I kind of don't know where the money in the first place goes. So it kind of what I don't know, it's like I can't really think past that. I know like just getting more people involved and stuff would help. I would assume would help out, the us in the sport, or the whole sport, the whole pro racing, thing. I think more amateur racers, young kids getting into it. There's that sense of getting the younger kids, more younger kids start racing and everything like that would help it. But also maybe like I've heard a few things what people have said, maybe like another maybe class or main event, with riders more of our speed, or like there's a group of privateers, they're kind of in the same range of racing, and it'd be really a good battle. It's kind of like LCQs, you could say. They're always good races, and they're probably one of the most eventful races of the night sometimes. So maybe a main event like that would be something to bring people to watch in the future as well. Something.
I hear you. And I like what you said about some transparency. Where is the money going? Let's show where the money is coming from. And I know you guys are racing tomorrow. So Chris, Robb, do you guys want to ask these guys one more question, and then they can get ready for the racing tomorrow? Because I know it's about 8 o'clock where you guys are, or 9.
I guess my big thing is, and this is kind of add a little bit of sense of humor to it and lighten it up. Could you guys ride the Yamaha better than Barsha or Webb?
Okay, maybe a better question to ask, because I know we're putting you guys on the spot. You guys are on the line, and nobody wants to have a target on their back. I get it. If you guys were able to have a factory bike, let's just say you have Barsha's bike, would that significantly improve your performance? I know you guys are running right around that, 25, 35th place. We give you a factory bike. Do you think you guys are now 15th, 10th? What do you think? Hypothetically.
I feel like the biggest thing with like being a factory rider is having the dudes there to test with week in and week out and make your stuff dialed more than the equipment's that much better. That's just my personal opinion, though.
I agree with somebody else want to go
for it,
first?
Greg. Go for it.
No, go.
Okay, I agree with the testing part for sure. Like, it's definitely important to get your bike dialed, but I've definitely seen where like people like Gannon Audette, they're not doing that great. Maybe they're getting like a 15th or 16th on their, just regular Kawasaki, and then all of a sudden Pro Circuit picks them up and they're getting on the podium with not that much testing, and then as soon as they're off of Pro Circuit, their filling ride's done, they're back to getting like 15th. So having a factory ride, in my opinion, would definitely help out a lot. I think back to Freddie Noren. I think he got the filling for like Cole Seeley or something on Honda probably 4 years ago, and he was getting around 28ths and stuff, I want to say. And then all of a sudden when he got the filling ride, he was literally like top 10 the next couple weekends, and then as soon as he got off of that ride, it wasn't the same.
Thurman, how much better would a factory bike excel your performance? Hypothetically.
Yeah. I'm not gonna put a number on how much it would accelerate. I know it would for sure. I know kind of like what all they have that thing dialed every weekend when you're going to the race. They have it pretty much brand new. I'd say fresh. Better than a brand new bike that I would ride. But I don't know how much I could say. I could get to the top 15 in outdoor. But I'm not gonna say that because I don't know. But I know it would be more comfort, more. They're a solid frame. They'll get it set up for you. They'll work. To get it how you want it. If it's not, so that's the thing. Like, you have more people around you on the team as well with the factory bike, I'm sure. So, of course, it would improve and help you improve. And as time goes on, you get even better with that. So, it would help out a lot for everyone. I'm sure
You wouldn't be your own mechanic, Sam. You'd have more time to focus on the racing. Or Thurman. Sam, what? You haven't answered this question.
I've always dreamt about what it'd be like to ride a factory bike. So I can just imagine it would be astronomically better, instantly top 20s, top 15s.
No more LCQs.
No more LCQs, which that's one thing I've always struggled with. I'm always on the bubble I'm always around 30th, the 36th to 40th. Like, it's just I just want to be in there and not have to with a solid lap time. And I know I could get that solid lap time with a factory bike.
Well, my last question that I wanted to ask you guys is it's an honest question. Everything that I've heard you guys talk about right now is what do you take more seriously? Do you take going to a pro race more seriously, or do you take maybe going to a $10,000 pro-am that, like, fuck, man, I can win this thing and I can actually make some good money? Is that more of a stressful race for you because you're expected to do so well? And then the national is like, man, I'm just going to have fun, say hi to the fans, and qualify, and whatever happens. Does that make sense? Let's go with you, Sam.
So I would say put it's more stressful to go to that pro-am, especially for depending on money. I remember when I showed up to one of those races, and it wasn't AMA sanctioned.
Yeah,
in the 250 class, and I won, and I ended up getting protested. And I got zero of the money, and it was I was ready to fight somebody, and that all in itself was way more stressful and just chaotic than it is going to a pro national, where, I mean, like you said, you can have a good time hanging out with and then just make that top 40 and then focus on yourself to better yourself once you're there. But I'd say, I mean, it's different with everybody. I know those pro-ams can be chaotic and stressful.
Well, I respect your honesty. Chase? Do we have him?
I think we might have lost him to the darkness.
We might have lost him. Thurman, same question.
For me, man, a pro-am, I treat the racing same. I try to do my best.
Yeah, I feel that even like when I come back race locally, I did.
Man, 2020 and technology still sucks.
Just at the ranch.
Only at the ranch.
Yeah.
No cell coverage.
Chris, did you want to ask one final question before we let these guys go?
No, well, I want to wish you guys, whoever's racing tomorrow, good luck. I want to thank you guys for your time.
I think.
And then I know you guys are all about, listen, we just talked about money and how to make money. There's a race on August 29th called the Bling Cup in Florida. Looks like a pretty cool deal. A good chance for you guys to make some money. So anyway, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And good luck.
And last thing I'm going to add is Chris, Robb, and I, we're going to each send you guys $150 for coming on board. So I'll message you guys and we'll find out if you take Venmo or Apple Pay. We just want to give you guys something, and hopefully moving forward, we can start giving you guys some more stuff and, growing the sport as a whole.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for your time.
Hey, good
Yeah,
job, guys.
yeah.
Good luck out
Good
there.
luck, guys.
Yeah. Thank you for